Kurt Vonnegut forever changed the landscape of American fiction with books like Slaughterhouse-Five and Breakfast of Champions. His most recent novel, Timequake, was said to be his last, but there was still unpublished material out there. Bagombo Snuffbox is a collection of the short fiction Vonnegut wrote before he started writing novels written in the 1950s and 60s for magazines like the Saturday Evening Post and Atlantic Monthly. They are relics of a time before television. They are also a harbinger of the literary genius that was to come. And we have that literary genius with us. Please welcome Kurt Vonnegut. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, what are you doing? You're going back and getting stuff.
No, well,
that you wrote for magazines. But, I mean, we want new stuff from you, not old stuff.
Well, if you want good stuff and not crap, too, right? But, well, who wouldn't? No, I never thought I'd amount to a hill of beans. In 1965, when I went to work for the Writers' Workshop in Iowa, I was completely out of print.
Yeah.
Now I'm completely in print, including my earliest stories. And there was a professor at the University of Minnesota, Peter Reed, who dug up all these stories. I wouldn't have known how to do it.
Oh, is that right? He went and got them and found them and put them together?
Yeah, well, I didn't have any sort of archives at all. And
you didn't keep them? You had to have kept them.
No, I was ashamed of them.
Oh.
No, I wasn't. I was just careless. And I really didn't think they would matter much.
Yeah.
But Peter Reed.
So Peter Reed gets the credit for bringing these together, not Kurt Vonnegut.
That's right.
Now, were you hesitant at all, or were you pleased?
Well, I didn't know what to think, and so I showed the stories to Putnam and said, you know, well, are these embarrassing or what? And they said, no, they're okay, we'll publish them. So here we are.
So you went to your publisher and said, look, I found these. Peter Reed did this thing. He found these, and take a look at them and see if you think they are of publishing quality.
Yeah.
And they said yes.
He has a piece of the book, too, also, and a good piece of the credit.
Oh, good for you for giving credit where credit is due.
Well, I couldn't have done it without him, and but anyway, now I'm totally in print.
Yeah, okay. Bagombo, am I saying that right? Bagombo Snuffbox?
Yes.
What's that?
Well, it's a man who, well, it's the first story in the book, and it's about a guy who visits an old girlfriend who's married to somebody else. She has kids and all that, in the middle class existence. And he gives her a present and claims that, you know, he is in oil prospecting, and I forget what, out in Indonesia.
Indonesia, subject I've been talking about.
Yeah, and talking about, you know, you can get a servant for 50 cents a week. and that sort of thing, and making her feel really lively about her life. And their kid, the adolescent kid, keeps watching this guy and decides he's a phony.
Now, these stories hold up, you think?
That's for somebody else.
Okay, but I mean, the point is that they do hold up. I mean, otherwise they wouldn't have wasted their money to print these unless they thought your name would sell bad literature.
Well, it's done it before.
I just thought I'd loft that in there, Kurt, and see what happened. You just knocked it right out of the park.
So what else is new?
All right, you dedicated this to Max Wilkinson.
Yes.
And Kenneth Littauer. What's his name?
Kenneth Littauer. Yes.
I got it right, didn't I?
Well, they were my agents, but both of them had been fiction editors of Collier's before they formed their own literary agency.
The reason I bring it up, you say they taught you to write, or taught you, helped you.
They taught me how to tell a story that other people would like. And because, you know, there are people who can write well, but they taught me how to be a good date on a blind date, which is what I teach. You know, you're dealing with strangers.
How to be a good date on a blind date.
Yeah. And how to beguile strangers and be polite to them and keep them going. Yeah. You don't have to pander to their politics or anything like that.
Okay, well, tell me how, I mean, here's a dedication. In memory of my first agents, Kenneth Littauer and Max Wilkinson, who taught me how to write, which you would say is taught me how to tell a story.
Yes. And I've subsequently done that, teaching people how to tell stories at the Writers' Workshop in Iowa.
Oh, right.
And at Harvard. You've heard of Harvard? And
it's Duke of the North, I think.
And City College. And so I can't teach people how to tell stories.
You can teach people to write?
I can teach them how to tell stories.
Yeah. What do you teach them? I'm fascinated by that. I mean, you know, I'm not trying to. I want to simplify, but not. I'm not trying to be glib about it.
I mean, there are many things that are pathetic about this book and me and everything else, but there is no such trade anymore. There are creative writing courses all over the country now. And there is no short story industry anymore. There was a huge one when I started out. Yeah. And I could quit a good job with General Electric. I was a PR guy for them. You know, I had hospitalization, membership in a golf club, and everything.
Everything you could ever want.
Yeah, but I could make more money writing short stories, and I moved my family to Cape Cod. Yeah. And television killed the magazines and killed the industry. But this country...
Killed those magazines.
Yeah. But this country used to love short stories. People are writing short stories still in university towns all over the country. Perhaps in, Durham?
Yeah, Durham, right.
I'll bet you there's a magazine there.
There is.
Which has sprung up.
Right. There is, absolutely.
Which publishes, well, this is true of Bloomington, Indiana, too. Yeah. This is Moscow, Idaho. It's all these campuses. Somebody has started a magazine, and people, in order to make their souls grow, are damn well going to write a short story. It may knock your block off. It may be so good, but there's no place to publish it anymore. But, yeah, people are damn well practicing art anyway with no hope of getting paid off. And I wish people would write poems to each other. That's what they're for heaven's sakes.
To try to come to, someone once said, I guess it was Auden who said, I don't know what I think until I see what I wrote. Yeah. Therefore, by writing a poem, you give the clearest voice of your innermost feelings.
Well, you say, can you teach creative writing?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I mean, the same way a golf pro can take a few strokes off your game by telling you where to put your foot or whatever. I mean, there are things known about storytelling, which start with Aristotle, Aristotle's Poetics. There's lots of good advice.
Well, here's my point. I mean, you know my point. It is that, let's take somebody who's enormously skilled at athletics, like Tiger Woods, like Andre Agassi. They both started very young, and they seem to have great hand-eye coordination, and Ted Williams was said to have brilliant eye, better than 20/20. And Julius Erving, the basketball player, will tell you that he had these, quote, God-given talents, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. What are the God-given talents that a writer has?
He doesn't know until he tries, or she doesn't know until she tries.
It's to put one sentence.
And it doesn't, again, you mentioned world champions. Yeah. Everybody shouldn't consider himself in competition with a world champion. And this is one reason good writers are unlikely to come from an English department, is because the English department teaches you good taste too early. And, if I were a professor, Professor Sweetbreads at Duke, and a student brought me a piece of writing, and I'd say, well, Charles, I really have never had a student capable of this quality of work. This is an excellent story. I enjoyed reading it. I want you to know. And I really don't know what to do with someone as obviously gifted as you are. Let me think. Let me show you how James Joyce dealt with the same situation. Put you in competition
with James Joyce,
with a world champion.
Exactly.
Immediately.
It's just
stupid. See, I came up through a chemistry department.
Yeah, right.
And so I wrote, and there was nobody there to tell me whether it was any good or not. I was just making my soul grow writing stories. Yeah. And when I teach creative writing or encourage people to write, just make your soul grow, man.
I know, it does. But your point's well taken in that I can look at career patterns and see where people who had to go out on their own and who had to develop in business, entrepreneurial skills, had to develop in journalism, their own models, that kind of thing. you know, develop broader and different and more interestingly than those who were early on put into a box and put into a place in which all the standards and all the norms were set and dominated by people at the top.
Yeah.
You know?
And, well, as I say, people, human instincts are often wonderful, often they're terrible.
Yeah.
But people are responding now to, intelligently, instinctively, to all sorts of dampers on their lives, all sorts of cultural dampers on their lives, like, you know, the monopolies of the communications industry, and you know, few outlets for publishing, for big-time publishing, few outlets on television. All right, they're doing it locally anyway, and God bless them, because that's smart, because their souls are going to grow.
Let me go back to writing. Are you working on anything new?
No, because I'm 76 and I'm completely in print, and I've been allowed to say
completely in print.
Everything I've ever written is in print.
So why not be? I mean, because you're 76, your faculties are not as good as they were when you were 56, and therefore you stop writing.
I'm out of stuff. I don't have anything more to say. You know what Herman Melville said about whalers?
What?
Do you know why they don't talk?
No.
Because they've said everything they could possibly say.
So that's you, huh?
Yeah.
So Vonnegut's like an old whaler.
Yeah, that's
He
right.
said everything he has to say.
That's right.
Come on now. I mean, I don't get it.
Look, it's a business.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Let me just understand this. Kurt Vonnegut had a finite amount of things to say, and he's done said them.
Yes.
That was it.
Been allowed to say them. Yeah. But look,
you mean you had a few good ideas and you said them, and that's it?
Look, I presented a terrific idea to you, and you just, I don't know how many guests you do this to. I tried some new material on you, and it flopped.
No, you were fine with the new material.
No, but the computer is a miniature golf course
for
like most
that.
people.
No,
We didn't appear to like it.
No, I did. I just did, but I thought... but you're saying it's a miniature golf course, but simply because it's something to occupy your time.
Yes.
Right?
To waste your time.
To waste your time.
And one thing I don't like about computers in the home, too,
is
it cheats people out of the experience of becoming. Now, important life experiences are food, sex, but also becoming. And this involves reading, study, practicing an art, whatever. And what Bill Gates is saying is, hey, man, you don't have to become anymore. Your computer's becoming.
That's an interesting point.
Well,
that's a good one.
I've tried to make several.
Kurt Vonnegut is here. Bogombo Snuffbox, uncollected short fiction. Thank you, my friend.
Well, thank you.
Good to see you. We'll be right back. Stay with us.